Let's get right into it, shall we? The episode opens up with private investigator Holly Gibney tailgating Angela, the hospital's receptionist. The two had a conversation about Heath, the hospital nurse, who we saw committed suicide last episode. We learned that Heath had the week off at the time of the murders. However, he was seen back at the hospital to check on his patients, not looking like himself. And of course, as we suspected, he was the one that had a bump into Mr. Maitland and scratched him on the arm. The strange but interesting thing is there was eyewitness who saw Heath with his mount up in Regis on the day of the murder. This is like the exact setting as in Mr. Maitland's case. A couple scenes later, Holly met up with grandfather Pete Maitland in the hospital. Unfortunately, we can see that he suffers the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and is only able to speak back the things that he remembered, like from his long-term memories. But one thing that caught Holly's attention, Grandpa Pete seemed to suggest to Holly that the nurse Heath, who was with him that day, wasn't Heath himself. The reason I say is Heath is because we know that Peter Maitland took a vacation with his family to Ohio to visit him, and it was the real Maitland, Terry Maitland himself. Detective Ralph Anderson, on the other hand, has been busy working the case while on paid leave. By studying the footage back in the strip club with Detective Eunice, they learned that the murderer, Terry Maitland, actually intentionally scratched the strip club owner, Mr. Bolton. But we have yet to see anything that have come of this encounter. Maybe we will see a duplicate Bolton who would commit a murdering crime soon. Poor Detective Jack Hoskins, ever since the encounter at the barn, has been busy doing mysterious things to serve up to his master because of the severe mark left on the back of his neck that seems to be getting worse and worse every day. He bought a lot of daily appliances like lamps, sleeping bags to the woods near the deer he hunted the day before. We can see from the scene that the deer has been devoured by some hungry being. It's unclear at this point what these personal items left there are for. Can we assume these are the items that the people enjoyed, who the demons have assumed their identities of? Then from the scene at the bar between private investigator Holly and her secret admirer, Andy, the surveillance shop owner, that pretty much all close relatives of Heath are dead shortly after he committed the murder for various reasons. Private investigator Holly, after hearing the bar attendant suggesting to her to trace up the spread of this murdering virus, so to speak, went back to talk to the hospital receptionist, Angela. Angela shared a postcard she received from his recent New York City trip. On the postcard, we learned that Heath, while on a trip to NYC, has apparently met up with a girl that he probably had intimate contact with. Knowing in her head that whoever passed on this murdering virus to Heath must have committed something to a similar degree, Holly decided to look up the NYC monthly crime database. There, she saw a girl whose name is Maria Canos. That seemed to fit the profile. This person seems to really This person seems really promising as she is the only person who was arrested committing the crimes but are still alive. After getting the go-ahead from Detective Ralph on the travel expenses, Holly flew to New York City. And from the look of it, it seems that she flew to the LaGuardia airport because she had to take bus transit into the city instead of subways. So she met up with Maria in the prison. We learned that she and Heath did have a sexual encounter, and predictably she left a scratch mark on Heath's back during sex. We also learned similar things about Maria, who don't seem to remember committing the crime. Her father and uncle, though, died, just like all the possessed people prior. While pressed for who she thinks are the real being that's responsible for all these horrible crimes, she seems to be too scared to provide the name because of fear that she will be sent to a mental hospital if she did so. Luckily, the lady sitting next to them subsequently was ready to fill Holly in with what she believes is the devil behind all these murders. Meeting up the same night in a high-rise apartment, Holly went to see Miss Castro. She explains to Holly that there is this devil who in many cultures have created songs about, and they call him El Cuco in her culture. She said many cultures had the bad habit of turning truth into fairy tales. She said El Cuco can look like a person it needs to be, but it's not. After Holly told Miss Castro that Maria's uncle was killed after the child was murdered, the little boy whose mother subsequently also died, Miss Castro then said that she thinks the culprit behind this could be El Glutton Paradolor, the grief eater who eats the child as his meal and treat the suffering of the families around as the dessert. Meanwhile, at the lawyer Howie's office, we saw the car theft kit. Merlin came to provide a sketch art of the man who took the van he left in the parking lot in Ohio that day. And this man is the hooded, strange-looking old guy that we have seen earlier in the season. The episode ends with a scene showing Holly, after researching about the folk history about this El Cuco devil, fully submerge herself underwater in the bathtub, but with eyes open. I think we can interpret this as a way that Holly is able to use her unique ability of tracing to connect with supernaturals around her. If you have watched the short clips for what's to come in the next episode, at the end of the episode 4, you know that eventually Holly and Detective Anderson's wife, Jeannie Anderson, will be able to see the devil El Cuco themselves, just like Terry's daughter, Maya. And the detective Jack and Jeannie Anderson will be used by the devil to convince Holly and Ralph Anderson to give up investigating further. And thank you for watching the show. I hope my analysis video have made your viewing experience a little bit better. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you.